What is going on, guys? We are back with another video today, and we are doing another experiment on Madden 22, and today it's actually a very important one. It's not some BS one that we've seen, from myself or just in general. This one actually makes a ton of sense because we're going to test if traits matter in Madden. Of course, we're going to look at the sim first, and then we're going to compare it to the other, which would be all of the traits. And then we're actually going to go into the game as the team and against the team, because from what I've heard, a lot of the traits kind of affect the AI more than anything for the majority of them, as far as never carrying the ball, or what is it called, protecting the ball, never covering the ball. I don't know if that's going to affect sim at all. I don't even know if it's going to affect a user, but maybe the AI. Once again, you don't really see the AI or user ever cover the ball manually. Like, if I'm going to, try to run the clock out, I usually just truck, which is probably not a good idea. I never go with right bumper, but, I guess it's time to test if it's even worth using. CD Lamb, never covers the ball. He's got feet and bounce trait that you can't take that off or add that. But, of course, no catching traits for him. Same with Gallup and Washington. I kept Noah Brown and Fiocco. We took it off of Schultz. There may be some for offensive linemen. I'm going to be honest, though. Outside of, I suppose, let's test penalty, actually. I'll add a penalty as well. I did that for the other players. I just didn't do it for the linemen. We're going to use just the tackles. We're going to go with a high on the high left tackle and the low right tackle. For the pass rushers, of course, we did the traits for pass rushing. Thank you, Steele. We did the pass rushing traits. Didn't do the linebackers. There's not really a whole lot you can do for them, but hey, I remove all their traits. He still has spin move. Excuse me. How do I get rid of that? I don't think I can. I think he's just got it. I guess he's okay. I mean, congrats, man. You beat the game. Yeah, maybe there was something for linebacker. I mean, I don't really know what would really matter, right? Like, coverage, you turn into pass, rush, and they suck. I don't know. It's really not easy to tell. And then for corners, you want to see if maybe they get beat more than normal, or if they can get more interceptions based on their tendencies. Of course, we have the aggressive play ball tendency on the the other team, because I feel like that's probably a little bit better technically. It's hard to tell because conservative, I think, is good, but I want to test if you get more picks with aggressive. Not that some of these matter, of course. For pass rushers, wide receivers, and running backs, it does matter a bit more. Same with quarterback with the paranoid and all that. But for some of these, you can't really control, right? You're not going to not use a corner because of their play ball tendency. But as far as a wide receiver, I can tell you this: in Dolphins League and just in user leagues in general, people definitely look at those traits, and they kind of go away from using those guys, because if you're going to start a guy from scratch, and let's say he's like a third-round pick, he's kind of fast, but he doesn't have any good receiving traits, why even develop him, But once again, I don't know, and we're going to test this. Does that actually matter? Because from what I've heard, the catching traits only matter for when the CPU is playing. So if the CPU doesn't have the traits on, they just won't do that. But at the same time, if you take away all the catching traits from the wide receivers, does that mean the CPU just can't catch anything? I really don't know how that works. So we're going to obviously test it out, and hopefully we get something back. And this was my worst nightmare. I wanted to keep the team intact. I'm going to probably just turn off salary cap just to re-sign every player, just so I can test this starting of next season. But the Cowboys missed the playoffs, which isn't a common thing. So maybe, just maybe, where the hell am I looking for? Oh, yeah, maybe, just maybe, it actually played a factor. Obviously, we'll have to test that with the other team. If they end up going 9-8 or 10-7, it's really not going to be able to tell a whole lot for us. But, if we're seeing some really, really absurdly bad numbers, maybe that plays a factor. So, of course, 42-02, 28-13 for Dak with 61% completion percentage, which is, it's not great. And I don't really pay attention to his numbers normally, but I imagine he does better than that normally, right? Never covers the ball trait. Of course, the ratings do matter a ton, but 2 fumbles for Zeke. CD Lamb, 12-12 for yards, 3 touchdowns. James Washington and Gallup, doesn't show drops, unfortunately, but obviously you would have to assume if those ratings actually matter, maybe the yards will be a little bit higher, the catches might be a little bit higher, because obviously they're struggling with catches, but I gotta imagine it's not affecting wide receivers at all. I also didn't even think about it, but we're not going to be able to tell that's penalties because we'd have to change the entire team, and I just don't think it's just not worth it, to be honest. Sack totals, I can probably say there's a good chance that the traits just don't matter in Sim. That's what happened last time, but once again, last time I did not test how they play in-game. You know, I had to test that. Of course, Trayvon Diggs, only 2 interceptions. You know, nothing crazy. That's really all we need to see. I don't even need to see any more. We're going to move on to the other team, see if anything changes. Once again, I don't expect it to. However, we will be able to see if the game can do anything, or, you know, while we're watching, if the CPU can do anything. Obviously, we're going to try it as well as ourselves, and then probably switch a different team to play against them. But, of course, with this team, you don't really need to see it, but just to show some of the traits, you know, Dak Prescott, his trait list is definitely a bit better. You know, he has ideal sense of pressure, ideal forcing passes, tight spiral, predictable player discipline, throwaway. He's got a balanced type. You know, running back, there should be, like, fights for yards and high motor and covers the ball, all the catching stuff. Probably should have looked at the receiving for Zeke, but probably doesn't really matter too much. But we have all of that set. And we're not going to care about the offensive lineman because that was just a lost cause. That was a waste of time. Speaking of time, while we got a little bit of time, maybe think about leaving a like, maybe subscribe. We do a ton of different franchise videos, and I would like to hear what you guys think of this. And if there's a kind of another thing you've been wondering about of the game, I don't know, maybe something to do with like some specific stat, like a tight end, you know, how to get them more, you know, something random. Let me know in the comment section below, and we'll you know, maybe test it. Of course, you can see here, we kind of ironically enough, I mentioned that 10-7. I have no horse in this race, so unless you're like an EA rep, I don't think you need to see that we're not cheating. They're like, oh, show it. It's like, let's take a look at the numbers. So, Dak, I'm just going to not even, you know, chart these down. It just seems pretty obvious in my book that there's not much of a difference. It's just the traits don't matter, right? Like, I mean, if the traits mattered that much, the receivers on the other side would have caught, like, no passes. They wouldn't have done anything well. You know, there would have been way more fumbles. I mean, we've seen 2 fumbles versus this 0. You know, there's just random fumbles across the league. There's no real, like, you know, sort of trend. It just happens in this universe. You know, the other team had you know, different traits for the line. I guess they play better here. You can see with all the pass rush traits, he actually had half a sack less compared. I mean, look at those traits. That's ridiculous compared to the other one who had nothing other than spin move. I mean, unless he's just spinning like a madman, I don't think that is the case for why he did well. But yeah, I mean, simply put, maybe interceptions. I will say there could be something to the aggressive traits. 6 interceptions compared to 2. I will say, you know, interceptions aren't super common to come by, so, you know, getting 6 is something, but I don't know if it's definitive enough. But I suppose if you were going to say anything, it would make sense, but I honestly just think traits don't play a factor in Sim at all. I think we've done one for devs as well. It doesn't matter either, I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, let us go on to the old, you know, the one we just went to, test some things out in-game, which is where, once again, I expect to actually see some differences. All right, so we're on all Madden, so I'm not going to really be able to tell how effective this is for the pass rushers, but that's really the best one we can test. So we can see that, you know, Lawrence got a little bit of a push, but he didn't actually break. So he kind of felt like he got a bull rush. You know, that was a bull rush move. But I'm really curious to see if he'll make, like, a... I mean, sure as hell doesn't look like he's making any, you know, effort to make, like, a cut move or anything like that. So I'm starting to think that, you know, in-game, it does kind of seem like it matters for the pass rushers. Let's see. Is he going to make a move? I mean, everything seems to be power for him. And maybe I should have done something to make the corners better. But, I mean, some of those other plays, there was a lot of time to throw. And he just didn't make a play to try and break off the line, like, at all. Oh, that was a spin move. He did do a spin move. All right, that was a long time to throw. Of course, I tried to just pick that with Diggs. It did not work, unfortunately. But that was a long time to throw, so we can definitely look at some things here. Fowler on the other side also could be, you know, help. So Fowler is just getting completely locked up. That was definitely a pass rush move. A little bit of a swim move. What do we have from Lawrence? Not that it really matters. I think we have our answer. This was an attempted spin move. It didn't work, but the trait is, and that is, okay, so the traits do work for the AI. They absolutely work without having the traits. The definition of the traits is uses. So it's not like success rate or anything like that. It's uses. So as far as like, that goes, it seems like it works. Now for this one, it's going to be a little bit tougher because I don't know how we're going to get open. Of course, that looked like a possession catch if you ask me. Now this one, like I said, I kind of want to test the AI because I think it's going to matter more for the AI than it is us, which I suppose at that point kind of defeats the purpose. But from what I'm seeing, traits mean absolutely nothing. Now, the paranoidness, I probably should have checked Dak's abilities, may play a factor. Lob pass is a pretty good throw. Obviously, it's picked because it's a bad decision, but the paranoidness did not play a factor at all. There was players all over us. I know it wasn't a free rush, but that's still, there's people on him. They're like right up in his face. Also test Zeke up the middle. I'm not going to do any power, no truck moves or anything like that. I'm just going to run and see if he falls forward or anything like that. Once again, this is next gen. It's a little bit of a fall forward, nothing crazy. And that's definitely a fights for yards. That was definitely a fall forward without a doubt. All right, I want to get myself under pressure, but I don't want to out of range, but it didn't say anything about pressure. I didn't see anything about pressure, so this paranoid, pocket presence thing, it doesn't seem to exist. I'm just going to be honest. Now we're going to back out. I'm going to play as the Vikings and then go in. Once again, we're on all Madden, so that's a pretty good indicator, right? If it was rookie or something maybe, but all Madden with sim style, which is, the thing that would matter most for traits, right? If you were on competitive or something like that, it would mean more for just user play rather than, traits or ratings per se. Ultimate Team and franchise are like completely different beasts, but let's test this, see if the AI has any troubles with, throwing or pass rushing, and maybe conclude this with another disappointing, thing that just doesn't matter. And yes, I was going the wrong way because I can't do two things at once, apparently. Or here's the big one. I know it's going to be a run first, but maybe we can see if he fights forward. Once again, on all Madden, you should be getting bad things to happen to you more often than not, as that's definitely a fall forward. That's definitely a fights for yards thing, right? The problem is we're not going to get them to throw the ball. That's unfortunate. Oh, maybe they will. Dak, he's just going to take a stupid sack. God damn it, Dak. Just throw the ball. All right, Dak's got time. It's obviously sideline catch, feet in bounds, possession catch. I don't know what this does. Unless the terminology's wrong and it is better chance to make a play with the catch. We'll try maybe, hit someone with a possession. It's just clean catches. That's a running back that doesn't have anything, Dallas doesn't have like the greatest D-line in the world, but they have enough talent. Oh, not you. Not you, Parsons. That's a definite pass rush move. Wow, that was a terrible catch attempt. Lawrence made a pass rush move on us as an AI. That's all I can tell you. I think he also hit us late. Trying to pay attention to the defense again. I'm going to try to just get one clean hit. Oh, there you go. That was a terrible miss. We just popped Dak in the knees with never covers ball. Once again, all Madden may play a factor, but a lot of people play on all Madden or all pro, and if the traits don't matter here, they just don't matter in general. I'm not really sure what's the point. Is it just all BS? That was a good attempt. I forgot about Za'Darius somehow. I honestly think I've seen enough. Traits mean nothing. They actually mean zero. I thought maybe it would just not allow you to animate if you didn't have the traits, AI or user. That is clearly just not the case. I thought maybe it would help or change things in sim. Outside of maybe aggressive for cornerbacks, getting more picks. But let's be honest, with the track record of the other stuff not mattering, same with kickers, apparently their entire player themselves, their kick power, accuracy, and awareness, I mean, if none of that matters, I can't imagine they would just randomly have cornerback aggressiveness matter for picks. So, once again, another kind of just feature that's either dead and they don't care about it, or it just doesn't work in general. Once again, it could be something where they just don't actually care about, the traits anymore, and they just left them in on accident. But, I mean, they clearly just don't do anything. They literally do absolutely nothing. There's nothing that I can think of that I missed in this kind of test. It just seems like, drops open passes maybe, but once again, that's not something you can put on or off. Even then, I've seen people, I've seen players that don't have that drop open passes just out of nowhere. So I think that might be the only traits, maybe keep speed and balance as well, that matters. But once again, those are traits that just don't come up often. I don't think you can actually get keep speed and balance from a drafted player, and I also don't think you can get drops open passes from a drafted player, which is kind of the whole thing for me anyways, personally. But yeah, traits just don't really matter. They simply don't. So yeah, I guess if you're deciding on a player or not based on their traits, just look for their speed. I guess look for their speed and some of their other attributes like juke move or truck or whatever, because we've, I guess, debunked it. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you surprised at all? I'm really not. Do you think they should matter? Because, I mean, I personally think so, right? What's the point of being like an elite receiver that can catch, any sort of pass or run after the catch, a jump ball or, possession, if it doesn't matter? You might as well just be fast. That's it. Like, there's just no point. I always say, oh, Mike Gesicki dropped it, yet he's a possession receiver. I guess it doesn't matter. Even the ratings don't seem to matter. It's just about getting separation. That's all that matters, is to be wide open, I guess. But regardless, that's pretty much it for the experiment video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya!